All right, let's dive right into this explainer and fundamentally shift how we think about using AI in sales operations. Look, if you've been copying and pasting data into a chat window and just asking it for formulas, yeah, you're getting value, sure, but you are leaving a massive amount of capability completely on the table. Today, we're breaking down a really transformative blueprint from our source material on how to build a real, fully agentic workspace.
The absolute crux of our source material today is this idea. AI is moving from an assistant to an operator. Most of us are actually using AI wrong. We're just asking it questions, right? And by doing that, we're keeping ourselves as the manual integration layer. We really need to stop viewing AI as just this super smart search engine or a speedy assistant that tells us how to do our jobs. It's time to start treating it as an operator that can just execute the workflow for us.
To really get why this matters, think about this classic, absolutely painful question. Why did the Northeast miss forecast last quarter? Right? We've all heard it. When an executive drops that question, it usually triggers hours, sometimes literal days, of manual data wrangling for a sales ops crow. Because it's never just a simple answer, is it? It's a full-blown investigation.
And you know exactly what that investigation looks like. First, you export the opportunity data from Salesforce. Then you clean it up in Excel. Next, you realize you need the actual sales numbers, so you got to join another data set. Then it's off to Power BI to check historical trends, figure out the anomalies, write up your conclusions, and finally, manually build out a PowerPoint. See, we've automated the systems themselves, but definitely not the work between them. You're still manually lugging CSV files from one destination to the next. Basically, you are the integration layer.
So this represents a massive paradigm shift. AI assistant versus AI operator. An assistant answers questions while the human executes the workflow. But an operator? The human sets the objective and the agent executes the workflow. We have to stop asking AI how to do work and give it an environment to just do the work. An assistant gives you a PowerPoint outline, but an operator actually builds the deck with the data already analyzed.
Moving on to Section 1, meet your new agent and setting the ground rules. Let's get into it. Now, we don't start by hooking AI up to your entire enterprise network. No way, that is a total recipe for disaster. Instead, we start by giving the AI a controlled folder on your desktop, using an environment like Codex. And right inside that folder goes the real brain of the operation, a file called agents.md. Instead of typing the exact same rules into a chatbot day after day, agents.md acts as a persistent operating manual. It gives your AI the permanent business context it needs for your specific company. And these rules, they are incredibly practical. You fill this file with instructions like, hey, Salesforce owns the opportunity pipeline, but revenue means invoiced net sales. Or, never assume a Salesforce account ID perfectly matches an ERP customer ID. And always validate join cardinality. By setting these guardrails up front, your agent won't confidently make those rookie data mistakes, like accidentally doubling revenue numbers just because of a bad join.
That brings us to Section 2, giving AI tools and hands.
Now that the agent knows the rules of the road, we have to safely connect it to the rest of your data stack. We want it to stop relying on you to manually upload spreadsheets. This is exactly where MCP, or the Model Context Protocol, comes into play. MCP strips away all the intimidation factor. It's basically a standardized bridge that gives the AI hands so it can directly query systems like Salesforce, your databases, or Power BI. And the absolute key here? We start with read-only tools. The agent operates strictly under your specific user permissions, so it can't magically access data you can't see, and it definitely doesn't have the autonomy to overwrite production data without you saying so.
Section 3, building reusable skills.
Because look, access and rules are great, but we also have to teach the agent repeatable methodologies. Otherwise, it's just going to invent a brand new analytical process every single time you ask it a question. For instance, when you say analyze the pipeline, what does that actually mean? By defining a pipeline health analysis skill with specific steps like validating data quality first, calculating coverage against the remaining target, evaluating stage distribution, finding stale opportunities, and identifying concentration risk, you establish a rock-solid standard. And the best part? When the AI inevitably misses something and you have to correct it, you just update that skill file, so your corrections become permanent infrastructure, literally leveling up the entire organization's capability from then on.
All right, Section 4, the new sales ops and creating deliverables.
The final piece of this puzzle is breaking the habit of running that final mile yourself.
If the business needs an executive presentation, you shouldn't just be asking the AI for advice on what bullet points to put on slide 3. We have to teach the agent to actually output the files. Think about prompting for an outline versus assigning an objective. Saying, give me an outline for a 5-slide presentation is asking for help, but saying, analyze the pipeline and create a 5-slide executive PowerPoint is assigning work. The deliverable itself is part of the task. You just point the agent to your approved corporate PowerPoint template in its folder, and it generates the actual Excel workbooks and PowerPoint files, perfectly formatted. Talk about saving hours of mindless copying and pasting.
Which leads us nicely to section 5, the climax. Let's run an end-to-end scenario. Let's see how all of this builds together by revisiting our anchor question. Why did the Northeast miss forecast last quarter? And can you prepare an executive presentation with the findings? You give the objective, and the agent, completely armed with its persistent instructions and those MCP tools we talked about, independently checks Power BI first. It pulls the approved forecast and the actual sales, and boom, it identifies exactly a negative $4.2 million variance. So now it has a precise target size for the problem it needs to solve.
Next, it cross-references Salesforce and the data warehouse. It applies those analytical skills we taught it to break down the exact drivers. And because it actually has your business context, it separates real business movement, like a $1.4 million slipped opportunity, product category weakness at $1.2 million, or major customer declines at $900K from simple data errors, like a customer appearing to churn just because their account hierarchy changed over in the CRM. So this new, incredibly fast-paced workflow looks like this. Step 1, you no longer orchestrate the systems. You simply define the high-level business objective. Step 2, the agent executes. It autonomously and rapidly runs the analysis across Salesforce, your databases, and your BI tools. In moments, it drops the finalized, fully structured PowerPoint and Excel files right into your local output folder.
Then, step 3, the human reviews. The agent stops right there. It doesn't go rogue and email the CEO. It waits for you. You open the files, challenge the conclusions, review the methodology, and refine the narrative based on that crucial human context you possess that the raw data might just not reflect. And finally, step 4, the human decides. You make the actual high-level business decision, which, let's be honest, is what you were actually paid to do, not just moving CSV files around all day.
I want to leave you with this provocative thought to wrap up our explainer today. Take a hard look at your calendar this week and ask yourself, where are you still acting as the integration layer? What reports are you manually refreshing? What data are you manually cleaning just because, well, that's how we've always done it? The technology to automate the space between your applications, it exists right now. It's time to stop assisting the machine and let the machine start assisting you.